Areej from Education in a Nutshell. First of all, who we are. Education in a Nutshell is a new initiative to enhance learning at home. It's usually that we learn at schools, but according to the circumstances that we're facing, not only in Egypt but in the whole world, okay, with COVID-19, and people are staying at home, so we're trying our best to reach as much people as we can and reach students at their home. We have a very good campaign, or actually it's our first campaign, which is COVID-19. We are trying to enhance the learning and to perform better in the educational process through teaching materials with professional teachers that will have a digital e-learning and send it to you at home. Today, we have a session about how to write incredible introductions and captivating conclusion. This session is two parts. Part one, we'll have it today, and the next session will be about captivating conclusions. First of all, we'll talk about our table of contents. We start with the objectives, and then we'll define purpose. We'll talk about the elements of an introduction, and finally, we'll have a sum-up exercise to make sure that you got the idea. The objectives. As I said before, that this session will be based on two mini lessons. Okay, the first lesson that we're forming today, this mini lesson will explain the functions of introductions, offer strategies for creating effective introductions, and provide some examples of less effective introductions to avoid. Simply, I will teach you today, or I will inform you today, what is the importance of introductions, followed by what are the strategies and techniques that can be used to write an effective introduction, and finally, what are the less effective introductions that we all need to avoid. First of all, we need to ask ourselves why we write. And I have here Mr. Nader, and I want to ask him this question. Why do you think we write?
We have to write a good introduction simply to attract the reader.
To attract the reader.
Yeah.
This is if we talk about introduction in particular, but why we're writing in general?
In general?
Yeah. Like for example, if you have an assignment at home, okay, from school to be done at home, and I have an article to write or an essay to write in a newspaper, will we have the same purpose, or our purpose is different?
Different, of course.
Different purposes. So if we do an assignment at home, what do you think, or what will be the purpose?
The purpose is to show the teacher that I understand and I learned something that he had taught me.
Okay, that's good. And if I have an article or a column that I write in a newspaper, it might be to inform or to entertain. This will lead us to our conclusion that we write for three purposes. These are the main ones. There are many other, but these are the main ones when we talk academically. Either we write to persuade, to convince someone with an idea, to make them believe what I believe and follow my opinion. Secondly, we write to inform, to explain, to share information, to describe a situation. And finally, we write to entertain. Simply, it's to amuse and interest someone about something. Example for persuading is advertising, commercial advertising that comes every day in the TV. They persuade you to buy a product, they persuade you to follow a campaign, and so on. Example for an informative way of writing is an essay or an article for a newspaper. Textbooks are also a good example of informative writing. And finally, entertain. Example for entertain will be a brief joke, or will be a simple poem, or a funny comic column in a newspaper. This will take me to our next thing to talk about. Why introductions? Why we need to write interesting introductions. Introductions are the first impression that you leave at the reader. So either they decide to continue reading or stop it and don't follow up with you or don't continue reading. The picture that is shown here is simply says that introductions are bridges that transport your readers from their own life, from their own world, to where are you, to your place of analysis. Our third thing that we need to talk about today is elements of an introduction. To write a good and interesting introductions, we have to learn how to do it. First, we have the hook, and then we'll talk about background information, and then is the thesis statement. We will talk in more details about each and every element, okay, and I will give you example for it. The hook, the main purpose of a hook is to draw the reader's attention, to make him or her interested in your reading. They want to follow, you want your readers to follow your paper. You want them to be interested and talk about it to other people. That's why choosing the right hook will help you to reach your goal. And choosing the right hook is not an easy job. People and writers and authors takes a lot of time to choose the right hook. I'll give you some strategies and examples on how to do this. When we choose to write a hook, we have many techniques, many strategies, but the best ones, or the ones that I've tried myself through my academic life, was, for example, tell a story. Who doesn't like a tale? Everyone likes to be told a tale. So you can start hooking your readers by telling them a simple tale, and this will grab their attention. Secondly, you can reveal a surprise. Who doesn't like to be startled up with an unexpected fact? For example, love is a toxic medicine holding the ability to both heal and harm. Really? Love is a medicine? I've never known this before. And it has two abilities. It can heal or harm. This is a surprise for me, and this will lead me to read more in your paper. Quote someone famous. Write a quote by someone is well known. For example, to be or not to be. That's the question by William Shakespeare. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country, by J.F. Kennedy. Or simply, not because you can do it, you should do it. A quote by my mother. This will take me to the final technique, which is ask a question. We always get attracted to question. If I start hooking my readers with asking, is better always better? Is bigger always better? Or if I say, is more better than less? Or I say, is new necessary better than old? I will attract their attention and want them to get, they will know more about it. Okay? Our second element was the background information. Background information. When we talk about background information, I don't mean all of the details. I don't mean that you give me all what you know about this topic. No, I want general, bare, brief information to make the reader who doesn't know anything about the topic that you're talking to get simple information and be able to follow your topic or your paper. Now, are you ready to finish your introduction? I will show you how to write a perfect thesis statement. But before we learn how to write a thesis statement, we need to know what a thesis statement does. It sums up the main point of your paper, it's 1 or 2 sentences long, and finally it usually appears at the end of your introduction. So if you see it as I see it, introduction has 3 parts. We start with the hook, followed by the background information, and then go into the thesis statement. Sounds good? So to cook up a thesis statement or an amazing thesis statement, you need 3 main ingredients. Ingredient number 1 is a research question. Search for a question that your paper will answer, that we will work all of the paper and what we write and everything that we will do in the research to answer this question. For example, if I want to talk about, or my introduction will talk about congestion in traffic in most of the American cities. Okay, my thesis question would be how to avoid congestions during morning and afternoon commuters, because these are the most times. And then the second ingredient will be a strong answer. I need to find a strong answer that show my claim or my position, that will tell the reader how do I believe or what can I do to avoid this problem. It needs to be simple, because as we said that the thesis statement is 1 or 2 sentences long, so we don't want to give details at this part. Finally, or the last thing, or the last components or ingredients is evidence. You need to summarize the evidence that supports your claim. So if you say that to avoid the congestions, we need to follow carpooling, okay, and Americans should use the carpooling techniques to socialize, to avoid the congestions, you need to tell me what's your evidence that this technique will work, or this idea will be the solution of the problem. Having this being said, now I'll ask Mr. Nader to join me. I already have an exercise which is an introduction paragraph. It's a simple one. What I need you to do with me to underline the hook, and then underline the background information, and finally we figure out what's the thesis statement.
Okay. How much time do you spend in an average weekend in your car? If you are like millions of other Americans, you drive to and from work alone every day. As a result, traffic congestion is a serious problem in every American city, particularly during morning and afternoon commutes. Commuters should consider carpooling to eliminate traffic congestion, decrease the expense of commuting, and socialize. I think the first part is, the hook is how much time do you spend an average week?
Okay, can you tell me what technique did we use?
Question.
Question, yes, very good. That's awesome.
Yes, and then the background information is next. If you are like millions of other Americans, you drive to and you have evidence, you have background information that what is the result of conjunction and so on. And finally, your answer is, or your remedy or the evidence is the final part. Commuters should consider carpooling to eliminate traffic congestion.
Very good. Thank you so much, Mr. Nader. Here, what Mr. Nader said was completely correct. He said that the first part was the hook, and it was the technique that is used is a question. Then it's followed by bare and general information, like there are millions of Americans that stuck every day in the congestion. This is a serious problem that goes to most of all of the cities in the USA. So it's just general and bare information. And finally, I give them a solution, or I give them how we avoid this problem by carpooling. What do I believe? It will increase their expenses and also allow the social relationship. Thank you so much for today. I'm waiting for you for the next session to talk about captivating conclusion. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay tuned. Was good?
Great.